What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. My name is Brad. I am your host. Technical Options here on Benzinga. We are here for another wonderful Friday evening to talk about all things options trading, technical analysis, how to find options to trade, what were some of the big trades from this past week, and just kind of go over the happenings as we close out the market week and we head into the weekend. And so hopefully your Friday was successful. Man, it was a different day today than yesterday. Kind of crazy. Yesterday's move down, I think, was of course, when we get now that we're in this, I don't know really what to call it. I call it like a casino style market where, we're getting all the 100, 200, 300% runners. I mean, just think about like in this week, for example. First off, like this morning, like if you use stamps.com, that was crazy. And another two, listen, like this is, I always plug Benzinga, and you guys always probably think like, oh, well, he's with Benzinga, so he's cute. If you don't watch pre-market prep in the morning, like that's literally how you should start every single market day. It is Dennis, like those guys, like they're so they're traders. Okay, they're traders. They know ins and outs of trading. They know how the market works. They know things that we, as me, a new trader, or if you're a new trader as well, we need to have seasoned veteran guys that are teaching us and speaking into us. And those guys, I just can't speak highly of them enough. And the way that Dennis was talking this morning about, stamps.com and what happened, if you're not familiar with it, basically what happened at like 7 this morning, a press release went out that they were being acquired for, a real substantial amount of money. A lot, it was like 6.3 billion or something crazy. I don't actually have the full article. I'll get it pulled up here in a second. But basically what happened is they had an announcement that there was a buyout. I'm gonna read it. I got the article pulled up right now. Stamps.com press release announcing the buyout came out exactly 7:30 on Friday morning. The NASDAQ exchange officially halted trading at 7:30 and 3 seconds. So basically what happened was Dennis, who is on pre-market prep in the morning, he shared a screenshot of some of the orders that went through. Let me see if I can pull it. Yeah, I can pull it out. There we go. Some of the orders that actually came through. And as you see right here, this first order down on the bottom is at 7:30 on the dot, and then all the way up to 7:30 on the dot. First order at 199. And then you see all these different prices, and you see the sizes and things like that. And you may be thinking, okay, well, what's the big deal about that? These are algorithmic computers that caught this headline, which enabled them to then trade before the halt. And if you're thinking, okay, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, at 7:30 and 3 seconds, the stock halted. And when the stock came back on, let's go flip over. When the stock was unhalted, it gapped up to let's take a look. It gapped up all the way to 321 area. So you went from an open, basically Stamps.com was up 63.98% today. It had a trading range of, I don't have the pre-market number. I'm sorry about that. But it had a trading range of, at one time, almost $200. The halt and then allowing people to like kind of shuffle around and then reopen back up that high. It was crazy to watch that unfold. And it was crazy to hear from, Dennis, how he explained it, and he explained it so greatly. So I say all of that kind of say, if you are looking for a good way, I watch it every day. That's how I start my, my prep for the day. I watch that every single day. So if you are looking for a way to start your trading day, if you are looking to get into a better routine with how because maybe if you're just kind of new to trading and you're thinking like, well, what can I do as far as like a routine and being better and, getting into a groove, I highly recommend watching them in the mornings. It's a great way to, it's a way to start the day. So, and then we have shows on most of the day. So we're glad that you're here. Go ahead and click the like, click subscribe. And we are here every Friday night, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So on tonight's show, we are going to continue what we were talking about last week. If you were not here last week, we have been for a couple of weeks now. We've been going through basically like unusual volume and other other alerts as far as how do you find options to trade, and we've kind of been walking through things that there's a question in here, and we're going to start with this and then kind of transition to what we were talking about last week. We talk a little bit about how I find the plays that I like, and what the things that I'm looking for. I'm a big options flow trader. I am following the order of the options that are coming in all day long, and I'm getting alerts from the service that I use about different options that trade at a high volume, that are trading at an unusual volume. And the reason why I follow that is it's not a guaranteed program, or it's not a guaranteed system. Let me just say that. I always like to let people know that it is not a guaranteed system. You are not going to be able to be profitable if you are just following, oh, hey, look, this stock has an unusual volume alert, let me buy a contract. You are not going to be successful if you're doing that. However, you can incorporate it into your system. And for me, it has changed the way I trade. Oh gosh. Somebody asked here, you mentioned last week that you've moved on from using the 8/21 EMA cross for entry points to volume, RSI, support resistance line. Are you finding that to be a more successful strategy? The short answer is yes. Now, I traded the 8/21 EMA for a very long time. So, overall, that I've been trading this new system for a couple of months now. I've kind of transformed myself. I've gone through the whole list of indicators, and I've added all kinds of stuff to charts and things like that. I've kind of gotten to the point with my trading to where I have turned off just about everything, and now my main concern is volume, open interest on options, which we're going to talk about tonight too, and then support and resistance levels, fib levels, stuff like that. That for me works. Now for you, it might not. I always, you need to have something to confirm an entry. Even people that say they don't use indicators, they only trade price action. Well, there's something in that price action that's telling you to buy or to sell. So I think you should have something. However, I also don't think you should have a chart that's just overloaded with indicators to where you can't even see what the price action is doing. So you need to find a system that works best for you. So my system has evolved from trading an EMA crossover, a moving average crossover. What I would do is I would wait for the 8-day EMA to cross up above the 21-day EMA, and that would be an entry signal for me. I wouldn't necessarily wait for the opposite to happen to exit. Sometimes I would, depending on what happens with the trade. But that was my entry signal. Now, if you are familiar with moving averages, if you're familiar with most indicators, the one thing you will know about indicators is most of them are lagging. Lagging indicators mean they are not they're not predicting the future. They are telling you what has already happened. And moving averages especially, that's what they are doing a lot. Now, let me just say this. I like moving averages. I think they're very good indicators to have on your chart. I think from a perspective of using like the 200 or the 50 or some of these bigger ones, you can really use those as like support and resistance lines. So I'm not completely against using moving averages. For my system, I am no longer relying on a moving average cross in order for me to enter. And what I found as I was, kind of tweaking my system and stuff and trying to, basically, I just noticed that I wasn't getting same type of results that I was for quite a while, really. And so that caused me to like evaluate, and I would go back through trades and I would back test, and I would look at stuff and I would see like, okay, what's going on? Why am I missing so much? Where's the flaw in the system? And really what happened is I started really taking seriously the need to know support and resistance lines. Basically, as simple as that. Is where's my support? Where's my resistance? Am I buying into support? I bind to resistance? Hey, Michael, good to see you, brother. I am doing well. I appreciate you stopping by and saying hello. We are having a good week here. We are looking forward to the weekend, a couple projects and stuff. Get ready for Monday also. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. So support and resistance tells me more than what the EMA cross told me for a very long time. I could play that all day. I could use it for just about any stock, and it yielded pretty good results for me. It was a consistent entry signal for me. However, I've come to figure out a little bit more as I've grown as a trader and things like that. That maybe it's a little bit, it's more important to focus in on support and resistance levels as opposed to waiting for an indicator. So that's kind of just to answer that question. That's where I'm at as a trader, as an options trader. I primarily am scalping contracts. I'm moving in and out of contracts pretty quickly. And that's why the unusual volume alerts work really well for me. So I'm going to go through real quick. Let's just talk about the markets to kind of get everybody what we have going on. We briefly touched on it, and so I want to make sure I finish my thought. So yesterday we had a huge drop by most people's standards. It was a very interesting day. It gapped down immediately and tried to recover all day, and there was a lot of volume. There was a lot of buying and stuff, but it just got, it was pretty apparent from the beginning that it was going to be a down day. That's a good example of why you should always be ready to play both sides of the market. I kind of say that, tongue in cheek, because I am more long. I'm more buying calls, and I don't really play the put side too much. But yesterday was a perfect example of, hey, you can get in and out of these positions in a day trade, and you can take advantage of it. It was a prime example of, like, if you've got long-term positions and you are still, Apple, for example, Apple is one of the ones that I'm, kind of bullish on right now for, the next couple of months. I really have, strong confidence in Apple and what I feel is coming. I'm starting to build some longer term positions on Apple from like an August, September standpoint. And I'm not talking about, anything crazy. I'm playing like, the 145 strike, the 150 strike, that region. And I've been just sort of building a position on those. But for example, the leading contract in open interest right now is let's see, what is this? The 7/16/21 expiration of the 150 strike on Apple. And right now there's 112,000 open contracts. Well, that was as of yesterday. It'll be updated later today. Open interest is always a day behind, just to let you know. If you're not familiar with what open interest is the amount of contracts that have not been exercised yet, either exercised as in I want the shares, or exercised as in I'm selling the contract to somebody else. And so open interest is another thing that you need to look for with options, because if there's not a lot of open interest, then something's going on. Everybody's already left, or, that's with options. You got to have somebody on the other side of the table to buy the contract from you. So you need to have a lot of open interest. And right now, Apple, I'm just looking at this list right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 6 or 7 different contracts that have a huge amount of open interest that are in the top 20, and they're all Apple contracts. Tesla is always going to have a lot of open interest as well. AMC, AMC is, it's crazy. Like watching the flow on a Friday afternoon, it just kills me. Like, who in the world, like, who are these people that are buying 0-day expiration AMC lottos? Like, I just, like, I kind of like watch it go through, and I'm like, who in the world is buying that? Like, people are selling this premium, and they're this cleaning house because people are buying AMC calls on a Friday afternoon that are $100 away from being in the money. Like, it's just like there's so much volume and action and volatility in the options market right now. It's crazy. It's just I have a some of you have seen this before. I thought about it tonight. I have a shirt that says unemployed options trader, and of course it's a joke. I'm technically, I am employed as an options trader full time, so it's kind of like I made it as a joke. I made this, and I had it on a couple of weeks ago, and a guy came up to me and he said, "Options market is pretty tough lately, isn't it?" And I kind of laughed, and I was like, "Yeah, it's been a crazy market." And he and I got to talking, and we were just discussing the amount of volatility there is in the options market right now, and the amount of volume is just I mean, it's just unbelievable. The amount of volume that comes through on options trading throughout the day. Now again, you might not see the craziness. Like, I'm pulling up the alerts right now so I can start. I'm gonna show you a couple of some of the bigger contracts that were sold today. Let's change the date. What's the date today? It's July 9th. It's July 9th. It's unbelievable. Okay. And so the largest alert I received today have been, was that Tesla call. Somebody spent Nancy Pelosi spent $5 million, I think, on Tesla leaps today. It was, I don't know, it was Nancy Pelosi, but that's the joke of this week. If you're not familiar with what happened, somebody bought. Are you serious? Okay, listen to this one. This is good. Here, let me actually. Okay, so I use unusual whales for my options flow. My main platforms. Let me just kind of go over this real quick because people always ask me. My main platforms. I have four main things that I use on a daily basis. Number one, Benzinga Pro. All day long, listen to the squawk, news alerts, signals, everything. It's the best platform in the business, not even close. That's number one. Number two, I use unusual whales. I use unusual whales for options alerts, for flow, for signals, things like that. It's my favorite one. I've used all of the options trading tools that you can. It's the best one. Not even close with that one either. Number three, I use Tastyworks. That's my broker. Do all my trading through Tastyworks. And then number four, I use TradingView. TradingView is my charting platform. I do all my charting through TradingView. So those are my four platforms. But on I forgot what it was. There was an alert that came through on Tesla that somebody purchased an insane amount of leaps on Tesla. Like, it was like $5 million or something like that. Crazy. It was a very, very substantial amount of options that were purchased. For example, some of the alert that you get, okay, they kind of like, they kind of make you go, okay, well, what in the world is going on with? I'm on the wrong entire year. I would have been giving you guys wrong data. Okay, so let's go with this. Was it the SPY put? Yeah, so somebody purchased, there was 40,000. Was that in that one order? Yeah, 40,000 was the volume on the 365 put for August 13th SPY contracts. 40,000. Daily volume was $2 million. The open interest at the time was 256. Now, that's why that's a substantial alert. Okay. There was 256 contracts that were opened. And then all of a sudden, a whale, that's why it's called unusual whales, because a whale is like a market maker, or, a big person, however you want to describe it. They came through and swept all of these contracts up. So they're, that's a good indication that somebody knows something. But the 360, that's a weird, like, SPY close at 435.52. It's at 435.62 now, and somebody's banging that much money on SPY falling by 90 points. Again, what are we? We're a month and a half, not even a month and a half, really away from that expiration date, and somebody bought that much on there's that. What I'm trying to explain here is, like, you have to get into the routine of asking yourself, why is somebody buying this many of whatever contract? It was 813, and it was the, yes, you look at this. That's crazy. There's a couple of these contracts that have a ton of volume. So the 385 put had 20K. The 365 put had 40K, and the 360 put had 10K. And we're talking about puts that are 90, I mean almost $90. Yeah, like almost $90 like out of the money. Somebody said hedge. That's probably what it is. Absolutely. So this is a perfect example of why you don't just blindly follow volume alerts. There's like if we were to step back and this alert came across, I mean, there is, I mean, I don't want to, nothing's a guarantee or anything like that. There's literally probably zero chance that SPY is going to be under $400 in August. It might be $1 million. I think SPY would be closer to $1 million than it would be under four. Obviously that's a joke, but what I'm saying is there's something else is going on behind the scenes that should cause you to say, okay, well, wait a minute. Like why is this alert being fired? Why is there such a high volume on a put that's $90 out of the money? There's a reason why. Okay. So that alert would not cause me to just kind of like blindly follow it and just, buy at as soon as I get, the alert, I would not just blindly follow that. And so when that alert comes through, it's you don't have a lot of time with, somebody said, I don't understand anything, but I'm having a lot of fun. Listen, I don't understand most of the stuff that I do on a daily basis, but I have a lot of fun too. Rogeria is here. It's good to see you too. She's in our, we have a Discord channel. I'll post some links later on tonight, towards the end of the show. But we, a couple of us were, one of my big plays over the last, gosh, I don't even know, last week half or so. I've been playing Apple a lot, and again, I don't really know. I just started doing some charting and kind of starting to develop some August, September, October positions, and Apple just continue to look good. And the volume on Apple contracts is unreal. Like it is just crazy. And Apple is one of those contracts that you can get at a relatively good price. You can let's pull up some Apple contracts. So let's look at next Friday. Now, next Friday, don't forget, next Friday is a monthly expiration. Okay. So monthly expirations are going to be different than weekly expirations. Weekly expirations are going to have a little bit more volume. Weekly expirations are going to have a little bit more volatility, and they're going to be a little bit, there's a little bit more action when it comes to weeklies. But once a month, every contract expires on the same date. That's the third Friday of the month. So as you're looking at Apple, for example, here, they're relatively good premiums. They're not that bad at all, for considering it being a larger named stock. John Felice here. Good to see you, John. John says, thanks for doing this. I have a question. What's your price target for Apple for August? Now, that is a great question. So it is August, or I'm sorry, it's July 9th. And let's go over to the big board. Let's take a look. Apple. Let's go on the daily. Now, Apple is at an all-time high. Okay. So we are now we're ready to kind of go. I'm really weird when it comes to, if you can't really tell, like what's my price target and stuff like I'm really weird when it comes to stuff like that. So Apple doesn't move a lot. It's one of those that you're not going to get real big swings in something like Apple. Like you're not going to get this crazy swing in Apple because there's such a high float. It trades in a range pretty consistently. There's a lot of volume that's required to get a big move out of Apple. Normally $1, $2, $3 is what the range that it trades in. I'm dancing around the question still, and I'm gonna keep dancing because I just, like I said, I just don't do price targets really well. Like, for example, okay, if so one of the contracts that I'm holding with Apple, I am holding the here. Let me just click over real quick. I have the August 20th 150s. That's one example. I'll give you the August 20th 150 call on Apple. Now, Apple is at 145. It's July 9th. I have, just a little over 30 days, 40 days before this contract expires. I will hold it. I really don't know yet. Sometimes you kind of just have to let the chart tell you what to do. Sometimes when you are in okay, like let's take a look at this run right here. Look at this section just right there. Okay. If you are in, we're not talking about Apple. We're not talking about, all we're talking about is this little section that I have highlighted on the chart right now. Okay. If you are in this stock, what are the thoughts that are running through your head right now? Let's kind of evaluate this from like I'm just sitting down, I'm looking at a ticker, I'm trying to see if I'm going to add, if I'm going to add this position. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. First off, I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to see where the volume is. I'm going to see what the trend is. I'm going to, do all of my work. But then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a step back, and I'm going to be as objective to the chart as I can. I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible for me to make a decision on what I'm doing. This on the bottom, this section down here, okay, I have for my volume, I have two volume indicators. Number one, I have a volume profile, which on the right-hand side here, and I know that you're probably really confused by the colors because all of the colors are different. Like, you don't have to have green and red on your charts if you don't want to. Like, you just need to know the direction. Like, if you want to make your colors the same, who cares? You don't have to have green and red. It's not going to, make them whatever you to. Make sure I change the colors of my charts every couple of months because it gives me kind of like changes my perspective of the chart instead of looking at the same thing over and over and over again. Changing the color allows me to, get re-engaged and kind of, put fresh eyes on it. So if you're looking at my chart and you're thinking these colors are what in the world going on, don't pay any attention to the colors. So on the right side, I use volume profile. Volume profile tells me the amount of buying and selling at certain levels. Okay. So right here is a pretty strong volume level. This would be from 126.80. Actually, let's just do it this way. This is what I would do. Okay. So let's go back here. Whoops. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do some of my levels here real quick. Okay. So we are looking at the volume profile of this section right here. Turn the magnet off. This right here, okay, so this volume, you see this one is sticking out really far. This is a very, very substantial amount of support. That will tell you this is a pretty good base. Now we're far away from that. This obviously we're not tumbling all the way back down to 125 before something else happens. But when you see this here, this gives you a good idea of a support and a resistance level due to the amount of volume that was here. So the volume profile, it is going to show you the amount of volume sold for the range that you have, the section of the chart you pulled up. Now watch as you kind of zoom out. Okay, see how the volume changes. Now you have all of your different levels. You can move it around. It'll give you a little bit more. But a volume profile is going to show you the volume for that specific section of the chart that you pulled up. Okay, I like this because, again, if you're big in support and resistance, it makes it a lot easier to determine support and resistance levels just by looking at the chart. You don't have to do as much now. Again, I'm going to go in and actually draw support and resistance lines and stuff like that, and I'm not going to just like look at the volume, just like there's support and resistance, because that's not always the case. But it's going to give you a good place to start, and you can kind of see that there's a lot of volume in the same area for a stock like Apple. There's a lot of buying and stuff like that. But notice what happens when you're about right here. Okay, so right now here at 134.63, the volume sort of starts to really slow down. And why would you say that to be? And it's because there was a huge level right here before where we were not able to get over. And as this breakout happened into the 145 range, what happens now is we're in a whole unexplored area. You're not going up against that resistance where the stock keeps. This range would have been here. Let's take a look. Okay, so Apple, like one of the biggest range or one of the biggest levels would have been like the 137 area. It bounced 1, 2, 3. It broke and then came back. It bounced again. This is a big area, but you can see right here, this right here, that's a double top. Like it tried. Well, actually, no, that's like a 5 top. It tried multiple times to break through this level, but again, you could see, like, look at the amount of volume that's right here. That shows you. Let's take a look. Let's do this. That whole area right there, that's your resistance. That's what's preventing. That's what was preventing Apple from really going to the next level. Obviously, we had before broken out, so we're just focused in on really what it is it was this section right here. This is the big section right there. That's the area that needed to break. Okay. Once it did, now you're gone. I mean, it's there is the reason why. Let me just say this. The reason why I am so optimistic about Apple, and this is from, I'm a non-Apple user. I'm a Windows guy. I'm an Android guy. We don't use Apple stuff. So this is just me playing from a company perspective, a chart perspective, and all of those things. I'm not personally, like, I'm not biased towards Apple. You are now going to see, we have all this open interest on contracts. We have volume. We broke through a previous resistance. We are trending again, to go back to what we had originally started talking about. If you were just to look at this section right here, okay, and this trend, that what is the main thing that you see here? The buying volume. Okay, that's why I use this little indicator down here. This would be another thing that I'm confirming as I am looking to get into a position. So first thing is I'm trying to find where support and resistance is, because what you need to remember is if you are trying to play the, let's just say, for example, we go back to let's go right here. Okay. And we're trying to, when Apple was at 134, and you are starting to figure out a position that you want to do long term with Apple. Okay. And so right here, Apple bounces off 134. Okay. Then the next day it bounces again off 134. And then the next day, and then the next day, and the next, and you get the picture. As all of those times, as Apple is bouncing off of this top resistance, does it make sense to you to buy calls for like the 150 strike that would expire in 5 days? Let's just say. Does that make sense to you from a technical analysis perspective? And the answer should be no. And the reason why is because Apple is not breaking 134. And so in order for it to get to 150, it's got to break 134 first, right? So that's why when you kind of are looking to find, your entries and your exits, and when you're trying to figure out which contract to buy, and you're trying to, figure out, like, okay, like I'm ready to get involved with Apple. Like, what do I want to do from a contract perspective? Be realistic with yourself. Like, look at the charts and see that Apple is not clearing 135. Why would you buy a call that's at 150 that has 4 days left to expire? It's not going to happen. Now, that's why you sort of look into what are called, the longer expirations, the not necessarily leaps. Leap are very 150 days or longer expiration contracts. They're normally higher premium, but with leaps, they give you a great opportunity to get involved in a stock early, and you can make some good money on leaps. But not everybody has the capital that's required to, you're tying up thousands of dollars sometimes in one contract, and then the contract just sits there, and so that the leaps might not be for you. But 30 to 45 days is typically the sweet spot for options contracts. So then we were looking at your support and resistance levels. You're trying to figure out what range Apple is trading in, because what happened when Apple couldn't break here? It did one day, but then look what happened. It pulled back all the way down into the low 120s. Then when it had its retest, what happened? It finally broke. So it broke 135, and now it's on its way to 150 and above, whatever you want to call it. But going off of just basic technical analysis, I mean, you could see again, there's the top right here. It couldn't break it. Tried right there, couldn't break it. Tried right there, couldn't break it. Tried right there, finally did. Can you give more info on how I use unusual whales? Yeah, I will. I'll pull that back up here in 1 second. We can talk about that too. But just from a charting perspective, again, let's just try to be realistic. You don't have to say, well, the RSI is 80 right now, so it's due for a pullback. And like RSI, I think I'm starting to like the RSI a little bit more from an indicator perspective. I mean, right now, I mean, could you say that Apple is sort of overextended and maybe a little of a pullback? Yeah, you probably could. You could say that Apple is in an area where it needs to maybe consolidate a little bit. However, the thing that I see with Apple is the buying volume. You are just getting a lot of people that are buying the stock right now. You are seeing, and again, the amount of volume on calls is unbelievable. The overall volume, let me see what it says here. 2.7 million in volume just on options, with a 79.7% volume of calls and 20.3% volume inputs. Okay. So there's another example of you can use certain resources to your benefit. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that just because there is 80% of buying today was calls, that Apple is automatically going to go up. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that any stock, if it has 80% in buying call volume, it's automatically going to go up. However, I am trying to be I'm going where the volume is. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to be, I am following the volume. Okay. And it's pretty apparent right now that the volume is on the buy side of Apple. Tesla is another example. Tesla's a little bit closer now. Tesla is we're in a very, if you want to call it a small uptrend, you're looking at a support line there. There's a decent one right here. There's a decent one right there. And then your top resistance is going to be just about there. Again, these are just real quickly drawn and not to the penny accurate, but I'm just trying to give you a little bit of an idea of what you should look for when you're trying to figure out what options to play. Again, looking here, there's a lot of volume that's happening with Tesla. Tesla is always one of the tickers that has a lot of volume, but again, it's going to be a lot higher on the buy side. There's going to be a lot more people that are starting to come back around. I think this candle right here, this is your important candle right here. It bounced off a pretty substantial area. It filled the gap, and today's volume was pretty good. I don't have any position in Tesla. I play it weekly. I scalp it pretty regularly. I scalp it because there's volume. That's the main reason. I don't have any crazy price targets on Tesla. I don't have any $1 million price. Nothing crazy like that. What's BIIB? Iogen. $357 stock. What in the world is this? Biojet. Not really familiar with it. What I don't know what I don't know. Somebody just posted the ticker BIIB. If you have a question about it, drop that. Baron, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. I hope all is well with you as well. I am using the here, let me actually show you this one right here. It's called the VPVR on TradingView, which is the volume profile visible range. There are 4 different indicators that you could use. I use the visible range. It changes as you're scrolling. NVIDIA. What's the date on the NVIDIA split? Does anybody know? NVIDIA's at 800. I don't know about. I think this right here, right before this 708.32 candle, I think that was your shot. Okay. Now the whole semiconductor space is pretty hot right now. NVIDIA is one of those stocks that is you're going to always have a lot of volume on NVIDIA. It's going to be one of those that you could play on a pretty consistent basis. Now, I mean, the premiums are unreal. Like their option premiums on NVIDIA are very expensive. Yet again, we kind of see a similar chart to what we're looking at with Apple. There's a clear uptrend. It's getting into an area where now it's got a little chunk right now. Okay, this 816 range, 823 to what is that? About 812. That's got a pretty substantial volume block, and then even the 807 to where are we at right there? Oh, what is that? 804. I'm trying to look at this one level right here. It's got a strong support level right here. Okay, so if we're just looking real quickly, let me try to do this right. This section right there, that's a good level of support. Okay. Now this big nasty candle right here, that's selling, that's going to be your, if it breaks 834, that's got some room. Again, I don't remember when it's splitting, so you're going to have to take that into effect as well. But it's got strong support. Let's just say that. So it's got a clear bottom, which is the number one thing that you need to look for. You need to make sure that the stock you know where it's going to bounce, if it's going to bounce, and if it does get to that area, is it actually going to bounce? It's got a pretty substantial amount of volume right there. The only thing you're going to be concerned about is this little section right here. Okay, this is very thin. That section right there is thin in the volume area. So if it can't hold, let's just say if it can't hold 788, 789, it's probably back down into the 780s really quickly. There's not a lot of volume at that little section right there. But again, I think that's one of those stocks that you're going to have volume on it pretty consistently. You're going to have volatility on it pretty consistently. You are going to, I mean, if you can afford the premiums, and you can make some good, you can make some good premium. You can really, I mean, there's a lot of action on it. Chris said, I'm playing at Ford, $15 call for next Friday, playing it off the lower Bollinger Band on the daily. Let's see what Ford's doing. Ford has a very strong. Okay, now this section right here, let's take a look at that. This is going to be that's a from 1510 to like, what is that, 1466. So it's almost there. This is the section you want to look at. That's a lot of volume that it needs to get through. It's Ford. I have Ford What do I have? August. I think I have August Ford calls. Ford is going to be one of those. If you are, Ford takes gas. Let me just say that. Ford takes gas to move. It does not. It does not like you're not going to see any crazy like this candle right here is as crazy you're going to get with Ford, and it was a dollar something candle. It just doesn't move a lot, and it doesn't. It trades in a range. It's but right now I like Ford from a a bullish perspective. I like that they're trying to get into the EV market now. Like I hate to say it, but like once some of these big names start getting into EV, it's going to be all over for these little guys. Um, it's just you can't compete with Ford. You can't. So I'm good with Ford calls, Chris. $15 call for next Friday. I'm good with that. I'm with you on that. I'm a little bit farther out on expiration. Again, I think this is your key level to watch. This little box right there, this support and resistance level. That obviously being your resistance with a clear bottom right now at 1372. So yeah, I'm good with Ford. Let me said CLNE. I'll get to that one real quick. John, thank you for the answer. I have another one related with Apple. How do you use the earnings? That is a good question. How do I use the earnings season to trade? Okay. So when it comes to earnings, we're kind of in a weird situation with earnings because stocks are, if it's not 100% correct, meaning like if the earnings report is not 100% bullish or 100% bearish, something drastic happens. A lot of times what's happening with earnings report is companies are not offering guidance moving forward. They're basically just taking it earnings report by earnings report by earnings report. And the reason why they're doing that is because of the instability with the economy and with COVID and whatever else is going on in the world. They're using that as their reason why they are saying, we're not offering guidance for the next one. We don't know what's going to happen. There could be volatility. We could lose. We could go up, blah, blah, blah. So that's why they're saying that. So that's what the thing you have to be concerned about with playing earnings. Me personally, I never hold anything through earnings. Never. It doesn't matter what stock it is. Doesn't matter what contract, nothing. I never hold through earnings. I am out before the day of earnings. Okay. That's just, again, that's my style. I am, you're going to see earnings reports in these stock, there was a big one, a couple of reports ago. I think Netflix had a big one. Disney had a big one. Companies that have big earnings reports and they gap up after hours, and they absolutely, but then you get a little word in the earnings report, and it's a sell-off, and they could beat expectations. They could have everything correct and still tank. And that's kind of the volatility that we have in the market right now. That normally, if you have good earnings report, the stock responds well to it, the stock goes up. Yeah, bad earnings report, sells off, stock responds to it, sells down, start over again. That's not always happening right now. So the way that I play earnings is I don't play earnings at all. Again, that's just me. But I'm out of a position for, I'm not letting an earnings report dictate what I'm doing long term. I'll get in afterward, or it just really depends on the ticker. It really depends on what's happening around the earnings report. And a lot of times too, earnings reports are already going to be priced in. You're expecting a big move off an earnings report, and we had the priced in from a month ago or something. So that's all. You've also got to take that into effect as well. It's really hard to just say I'm going to buy a call in June for an August earnings date, because there's so much. There's just so much going on with the markets right now. It's really tough to, it's really tough to say, if you're or if you're bullish on a company and you are playing their earnings, I mean, you have a 50-50 chance. You really do, is what it comes down to it. Until the market sort of settles and stuff responds and companies start giving a little bit better guidance, I'm not playing earnings. I'm not holding anything through earnings. I'm out normally. Yeah, somebody said NUE rocketed after missing earnings. It's a prime example. There are stocks that have missed earnings and have, gone up. There's stocks that have beat earnings and dropped. And again, there's just a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of volatility right now. So that's what I do with earnings. Do you consider choosing weekly versus standard week to play options a matter of strategy when we swing trade? Which one is better? That's a great question. So I am primarily playing now. Just to let you know, not every not every company has weekly contracts. Okay, so that's something that you have to keep in mind. Like the big names, the Apple, Teslas, things like that, they have weekly contracts. If you want to call them like penny stocks, or if you want to call them whatever, some just don't have weeklies, and they only have one expiration per month, which is the third Friday. So that, obviously will answer the question for you if there is weeklies are not available. I primarily am trading weeklies, and I trade weekly options because, number one, they typically have the most volume. Number two, weekly options are normally day traded. And since I am a day trader of sorts, I am trying to get myself involved with where the volume is, and there's always volume on weekly calls and puts and stuff like that. So if I'm scalping or day trading, I'm playing weeklies. However, if I'm playing longer terms, that's when it can be either or. Okay. Now, with a weekly contract is also going to expire. It's going to decay a little bit more rapidly than a monthly contract. You have with options, if you're not familiar with the term, it's called theta. Theta decay is the percentage at which your option expires or decays over time. So as you get closer to your expiration date, the rate at which your option price decays, it increases. So what you kind of have to gauge is when you are playing an option contract. Let's just say you're playing Apple and you're bullish on Apple, and you have a contract and you expect Apple to go. The closer you are to your expiration, your contract is doing this. Okay, even if Apple is doing this, your contract is actually going down naturally. Okay, just by overnight, just by everyday stuff happening. A contract automatically loses money every single day. It increases in how quickly it loses value the closer it is to your expiration. Weeklies automatically expire or decay a little bit quicker. Okay? So if I'm swing trading something, that's where I'm looking into a little bit more on, am I picking a weekly? Am I picking a monthly? And really what it comes down to with that situation is I'm going to look at delta, I'm going to look at theta, I'm going to look at premium prices, I'm going to look at volume, kind of evaluate. For a swing trade, then it kind of opens myself up to be either or. It can be a weekly, it can be monthly. Just really depends on the company, and it really depends on what is going to, there's a lot of you're not going to be able to be perfect with options trading. And you probably have some trouble with options at first. And don't allow it to, get you discouraged and stuff like that. Options trading is hard. Trading in general is hard. It's just not for everybody. It's not easy. If you to be actively involved in the markets, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with it. However, trading options is like one step harder, if you want to say. Again, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm this cool options trader. I trade options because I'm better at trading options than I am at commons. Most people could blow me out of the water when it comes to trading commons. I'm not. It's just not. That's not for me. I had some success with it when I first started out, and then as kind of things transpired and I grew as a trader and stuff like that. Options just sort of they said, come to me. And so I followed, and that's what I do. I trade options, but it's tough. There's a lot of work that goes into finding a contract. I get people that ask me all the time, like, I bought this call and I bought it for 10 cents, and the stock went up, and then now the contract's worth nothing. Like, there's a lot of things going behind the scenes that's causing your contract to move or not move, or it's not necessarily just picking the right direction. There's a lot of things that are involved with it. It's tough. Playing options is tough. Let me grab a couple of these questions because we are getting we are getting towards the end. We only have a couple minutes left, so let me try to pull a couple of these questions out. Michael said, in your opinion, did yesterday today look like a reversal with chart on CCIV? Let me see CCIV. Oh yeah, absolutely. This candle right here, yeah, absolutely. I like this here. Strong level of support. Now here's the thing though with CCIV. It's doing, let's call it that. It's ranging real. I mean, that's a pretty substantial range. However, if you're looking at what the pattern is, just like right now off of it, it's found its bottom, and it should be, I don't want to say, sure, but it should be trending up. It's got a couple touches on the bottom trend line. Now, again, this big section right here, $30 is the big section. There's a lot of volume that it needs to get through in order to expand beyond that. However, from a charting perspective, it looks, it looks great. I think I think it found a good bottom. It's got a nice level of support. It probably is testing this bottom line at least once more. Like, if not to get into like a real big Elliott wave pattern, but I mean, if you're kind of looking at what we got going on here, I mean, it's trying to come and wants to go in that direction, but again, I mean, your fifth point is going to be that top resistance. So you are at CLNE. I'm going to get to CLNE. You said it a couple times. I'm sorry. So you're going to have, you need to watch that level right there. 29.89, it looks like, is the top. Before anything can happen with it, that's what it's got to do. Let me flip over. Sorry, I couldn't spend time with it. CLNE. Ooh, this is nasty. CLNE has ton of support in this range right here. But CLNE is this is the first I'm looking at it, so I apologize. Let's just real quickly see what it's kind of doing in trend. I don't like this little action right here. I don't like this there. I think you've got, again, kind of similar. You've got strong support. You've got, there's like this little section right here. That's whoops. This is good right there. That's going to help out right there. I don't like this here. I don't like that at all. There's a lot of selling that happened right in here. From just looking real quickly again, I'm not, this is the first time I've looked at this ticker. I think it's probably got to break. It's going to have heavy resistance right here at 10. This section right here is where you're going to want to look at. Let me try to say right there is probably going to be the meat. And if it tests this and can't break it, then I mean you're falling back down into the $7 range. If somebody, I'm sorry, got sidetracked. ADHD. You're falling back into the $7 range, probably. But again, I mean, there's, I just don't like. It just looks like it's kind of in a downtrend. Somebody, if you want to, real quickly, let me, because I know I'm not going to be able to catch up. We can go a couple minutes longer. My website. Let me put this up real quick. My website is tradinggrounds.live. And if you are interested in, if you sent me a question and I didn't get to it, Go to tradinggrounds.live, and all of my social media accounts are on there. Access to our Discord's on there. Everything's on there. All the stuff I do is free. And if you want to message me and ask me the question, please feel free to do it, and I'll get through it over the weekend. So please feel free to do that. Let's see, what else did I miss? I want to make sure I got all the do you scanner or trading Momo, or you trade same stocks mostly? Good question. A little bit of all the above. I run a scan. I do run scans all day. So I just watch the gainers. Again, I'm more focused in on volume. I'm not really focused in too much on change. I'm trying to follow volume. So my big thing is I'm scanning for volume. So that's the first thing. I follow option alerts for unusual activity and think that's the main scan that I run. I do try to, I guess I really don't as much anymore. I don't really play momentum. The momentum stocks, just to be honest, not a lot of them have options. So I only play options, and so I don't concern myself with stocks that don't have options. But then the last one, same stocks. I trade a lot of the same stocks on a regular basis. I trade a lot of the same tickers every single day. I have a combination of tickers that I play consistently, and then I run unusual volume scans, and I mesh those two together and try to make sense of it throughout the day. So to kind of answer that question, it's a little bit of all the above, but is more so I am focusing in on volume. NIO. NIO is it just doesn't want to seem to go away. It kind of is it's kind of the thing I think we're seeing with NIO. Like it's I feel like everybody's playing it every single day. And I mean, gosh, getting back up to 67. That's going to be that's a tough one right there. Right now, your biggest resistance is at 55 with a solid area. Well, I wouldn't even call it solid, actually. Gosh, where would we go? Oh man. So this section, thankfully, this section right here, just sort of, there's a lot of volume that traded in this range right there. They are, I think the whole EV market, you're going to have, from like a long-term perspective, like I was saying, you're going to have the Fords and stuff that are going to just blow these people out of the water. It's not anything against Neo as a company personally. It's just the reality of like what is happening. Like you're not going to be able to compete with the larger companies. Neo is one that's on my list. I'll be honest with you though. Neo is it's on my I have a bunch of different watch lists, but one of my watch lists is main plays. It's on there. I can you can scalp contracts on Neo pretty good. When it comes down to it, that's what my focus is. Am I going to be able to get into a contract, have the volume to support it, and then get out with a quick scalp? So that's what I look for in art. But with Neo, I think if I don't know about any sort of like a long-term hold with Neo. I don't know that I would play it from a long-term perspective, but I play it probably a day trade if you can. Somebody said and price direction for next week, up or down as we get closer to earnings, 28th of July. I mean, again, Amazon's one of those that like you expect them to blow earnings out of the water, right? You think that like, I mean, gosh, like just from like just an unbiased opinion of Amazon, like they're doing good. I think they're doing good. But when does it come down to like stuff's already, we expect Amazon to do good. So you're buying now based upon earnings that's coming out in a month. That's why, like I'm saying, when I'm playing earnings, I'm not playing up until the date because a lot of this stuff's already priced in. But again, if Amazon has one word or two words that's off, then it's going to cause a substantial reaction. That's why, like Netflix, for example, they had that where they crushed it. And then the next earnings report came out and didn't offer guidance. They were kind of a little bit weird about, like they expected, like I think it was the summer term. I can't remember exactly what's coming up though. They expected that quarter to not. They weren't offering guidance on it. And what happened? It really went down after hours because specifically of that. So if Amazon, they might beat, or they're going to beat earnings per share. They're going to be on all those, like from a financial perspective, they're going to blow that stuff out of the water. But again, who doesn't expect Amazon to do that? Again, I'm not talking about, like I'm just talking clearly from like we're looking over the financials of a company, and is Amazon in a good place or a bad place? Good place. But is it priced in? Amazon's over that previous top resistance because you can see, all the volume where we're at now. That's what I'm concerned about. We're sort of in an area with Amazon where we have no idea what to do because Amazon's never been in this area before. And so now, I mean, the RSI, it's overextended. It's in an area where it needs a pullback, needs to settle back down a little bit. If I was going to play Amazon, again, I would expect Amazon to run up until earnings. I would not hold a position through the actual earnings report as I was playing there before, or as I was saying there before. Okay. So last one, and then we'll cut it there. Real quick. Again, if you ask me a question and I didn't get to it, I'm very sorry. We had a lot of interaction tonight. How can you this is a good question. I'm gonna go back to SoFi, but I just saw this here real quick. How can you have options out 45 days if they all expire next week every month? So they have tickers for the whole entire year. Some contracts you have that are next year and the year after. So you've got plenty of options that can trade. There's multiple expirations on the options chain that you could play. So when you're looking at a company, make sure you look at all of the different dates. There's numerous dates for options that expire. They've already got contracts far out you can buy right now. You aren't necessarily only playing you aren't playing only the July 16 calls right now because it's July. Like you have all these chains that you can play. Most tickers have all the way out until 2023. Some do, not all of them though. All right, so we'll stop with this. SoFi. I have not looked at SoFi. Okay, SoFi new IPO. Let's take a quick look here and see what we have. Your meat, if you will, is going to be this section right here. There's your big area of volume. Right now you are, if it can't hold right about here, anything below that is very, very big cause for concern. Okay. What I don't really like at all is the amount of selling that is taking place right here. Okay. There is, and you can even go, if you want to go down and look here in this section too. This is my buy sell indicator for volume. You see all that red? Primarily the dominating factor in SoFi right now is people are selling. And I again, I don't know why. I'm not familiar with what's going on with SoFi. I don't have a position. I have not played it, and it's not on my radar. I would be concerned though with this amount of selling volume. There's something going on with the imbalance being so high. There's just a lot of selling, and there should not. With a company that's as new as SoFi, something I saw that much. If I saw that much selling on a stock that just IPO'd, again, I'm going to do a little bit more research. So, okay, so what are we? So all right, we're going to stop there. Because if not, then who knows what time we'll stop. Real quickly, if you had a question and I didn't get a chance to answer it, again, tradinggrounds.live is where you can find me. All of my links for social media, my Twitter, my Facebook, all of my social media accounts you can access there. You can access the Discord channel if you're interested in joining. I'm not trying to sell you a course. I don't even have a course to sell you. If I was, I do. I try to I try to teach as many people as I can. I try to mentor and be available and uh, you know, help. I'm always available. I'm always available to help. However, let me just preface this: I'm not an alert guy. Like, I'm not going to call out alerts. I'm not going to tell you, Apple buy it, this dollar or this dollar. Like, I'm that's not my system. I'm going to tell you why, like, or where. Okay. I'm going to help you understand levels. I'm going to help you understand, like, this is what I'm looking at. I'm going to help you understand these things. Because when you're developing yourself trader, you need to get to the point of being able to do those, on your own. And don't get me wrong, like, if you say, like, "Hey, what's your profit or what's your targets?" Like, stuff like, I'll tell you and everything like that. I'll help you because I know when you're first starting out, it can be, it's tough to get entry signals, and it's tough to, it's tough. Like, you're just looking at a chart, you're thinking, like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. Like, when do I buy? When do I sell? It's, like, that's ask those questions. Like, you need to, like, that's an area that you need to learn. You need to figure out selling into support, selling into resistance and stuff like that. So we don't do alerts. We don't do stuff like that. However, we teach you how to enter. We teach you how to exit, or we teach you what to look for to enter, or what to look for to exit. That's what we're big on. So if you asked a question and I didn't get to it, please feel free to join the Discord, send me a private message. I am most active on Discord. I am there, sun up to sundown. I'm available. I'm in front of my computer Monday through Friday during market hours and stuff like that. Obviously, if I'm actively involved in a trade, I might be able to answer really quickly. But if you want to just kind of bounce some ideas off somebody, or if you're interested in just having somebody that you can ask questions to, and not have to, worry about signing up sort of like a $1 million class or something, please feel free to add me on any social media, send me a message, and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can, or join us every Friday, and that's where we'll end. We are live every Friday night at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We are live here on Benzinga. We talk options every week. We talk about some of the biggest options. We talk about exactly what we just did tonight. Now that we're sort of getting some more traffic on the show, we're getting a little bit more of a consistent flow in the chat, and so we can do charts together. We can we work through charts and questions and stuff like that together. But make sure you click the like if you found this beneficial. Subscribe to the Benzinga channel. Benzinga is live Monday through Friday, sun up to sundown. Just let it see, like 8 a.m. normally is when live stuff starts. Even sometimes, actually, no, there's a live show at 4 a.m. So if you're up, sometimes I'm up at 4 a.m. But there's plenty to do on Benzinga. Click the like button, click the subscribe. Join us every Friday night. Join all of our content. You have plenty of stuff to look through on Benzinga. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me. Trading.live. If nothing else, you guys have a good weekend. Use this as an advantage to your trading. Use it as a means to, first off, get away from the screens. That's something beneficial to everybody. But use it as a chance to work on your skills, work on your technical analysis, things like that. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on social media. See you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. See you.